Welcome back, everyone. This is part 5 on What If Peter Parker Was in Miraculous Ladybug, Chapter 14. What? Peter echoed. Your identity. Leela pleaded. Who's under that mask? Yeah. I know that, but why? I just told you. We could be great friends, unstoppable allies. She leant closer, tapping the side of his chin. But you need to remove that mask. Her hand trailed down the side of his neck, and she attempted to lift up the mask. Yes, but no. I can't, Peter exclaimed, gently pushing Leela away. You can't take my mask off like that anyway. He tapped the side of his skull with nervous laughter. I don't know how it works exactly, but Mr. Stark made it so that only I can collapse it. Tony Stark. Oh well, yeah, Mr. Stark what's the word again? Created this suit for me. But why can't you tell me your identity? Leela repeated, anger growing in her voice. Because I just can't. Why? Because I don't know. Ladybug told me not to. She said it can be dangerous and, Ladybug, yeah. Leela's face turned from frustration into a scowl. Of course Ladybug had something to do with this. She ruins everything and sticks her nose in all the places that it doesn't belong. No, you don't understand. She was telling me not to reveal my identity to anyone, but she was telling me because I was about to reveal my identity to her. So now you're telling me that you are willing to reveal your identity to Ladybug but not to me. Leela spat. No, I was only going to do that because I accidentally found out her identity, and so, that's still exactly the same thing. I just showed you my. Wait, Leela narrowed her eyes. You found out Ladybug's identity? Realizing he had probably said too much, Peter climbed up the wall slowly. I don't know her name, Peter lied. I just saw her briefly. I told him it wouldn't work, and I was right, Leela murmured, shaking her head as her anger fading to a soft smile. But I've found out something that is still valuable. What? Peter echoed, not entirely hearing her. You're right. I was just overreacting. Maybe in time you will trust me, but I understand that. I must leave now. She smiled softly and turned away. Goodbye, Spider-Man. Confused, Peter watched her leave. I have a bad feeling about her. Peter was walking towards the school, his suit hidden at the bottom of his bag, ready to give to Tony Stark later in the day. He saw movement behind him. Chloe's car? Peter frowned slightly. Petey. Chloe rolled down the window and waved at him. You walked all the way to school. Why didn't you ride in the car? I had things to do, Peter called back, continuing his walk towards the school. What things? Don't worry. Chloe rolled the window back up without saying a word, and Peter smiled, shaking his head in amusement. Peter walked through the entrance of the school, spotting Elia, Marinette, Michelle and Adrien standing near the back wall. He made his way over to them. As he got their attention, Peter, Elia exclaimed, You just in time. For what? Peter asked, confusedly, raising an eyebrow. To see Michelle and I's amazing project thing we were working on last night. Oh yeah, Peter grinned. Michelle was staying with you last night, right? Yeah, Elia grinned, but Michelle frowned. How did you know that? Michelle asked, narrowing her eyes with suspicion. Oh, a Marinette told me. She told me yesterday. Peter stuttered. He had heard it from Marinette, but as Spider-Man, not in person. I never told you about it, Peter, Marinette responded, raising an eyebrow. Oh well, I must have heard you guys talking about it yesterday, Peter said quickly. Alright, Michelle responded, turning her attention back to Elia before Elia could start talking again. The bell rung, signifying that they needed to get to class. It seems we won't be able to tell you, but let's just reveal, Elia mused, that Michelle and I pooled our ideas and resources, and we are pretty sure that we are close to figuring out the identities of Ladybug and Chat Noir. She ended with a grin, and possibly some other superheroes, Michelle added, glancing at Peter briefly. Like Spider-Man. Peter froze. She couldn't possibly mean. But before he could respond, they were heading off to class. I should get to class too, Peter thought. Following along, it was in the middle of Miss Bustier's class that Peter remembered about the live coverage of the space trash returning to Earth. Elia, he whispered. And she turned around to the space trash. Ask if we can watch it. Why don't you do it? Elia mouthed, checking the time briefly on her phone. Peter shrugged and Elia shook her head with a smile, raising her hand quietly. Yes, Elia? The teacher asked. Do you know what time the live coverage of the space trash coming back to Paris is happening? Isn't it on right now? Can we watch it? Miss Bustier put a hand to her face. Thank you, Elia. I completely forgot about it. She laughed, walking over to her computer by her desk. Just give me a minute. Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves quietly. A quiet murmur broke out amongst the classroom. Thanks, Elia, Peter whispered, and Elia turned around, giving him a thumbs up. Out of the whole class, a certain voice was the loudest of them all. Why are we going to be watching a bunch of trash return to Earth? This is going to be so boring. Flash whined. My thoughts exactly, Flash, Chloe agreed. It's nothing to waste TV time over. Exactly the reason why I told Daddy to make it return early in the morning when no one would be watching. Chloe laughed. It was an annoying laugh. The class went silent. Seriously, Chloe? Alia shook her head in annoyance and turned, whispering something to Marinette. What? I've done you all favor really. Who wants to watch trash? All right, Chloe, that's enough, Miss Bustier interrupted, hiding any negative emotion with a smile. The screen flickered to life as the teacher connected her laptop. While there was no complete filming of the trash returning to the earth, we do have footage from. The video stopped, and Miss Bustier furrowed her eyebrows in confusion, looking at her laptop. After a few seconds, the video resumed. A slightly confused-looking reporter on screen. We apologize for the interruption. The footage seems to have been corrupted. However, if you wish to view it, any quick search on a social media platform such as YouTube or Facebook will bring the feed switched to another reporter standing behind a green screen live feed of what was currently happening. It seems we are having some technical difficulties, but in the meantime we can see from our live feed of the site that there are numerous SHIELD agents around the area where the objects from space have landed. They seem to have cornered off and quarantined a certain amount of the rubbish, and the reporter put a hand to his ear as if he were listening to a message. Could they have found something? Peter thought. SHIELD doesn't often stray outside of the American borders. The reporter turned briefly to look behind him, before presumably remembering there was a green screen there. He then narrowed his eyes, looking at something off screen. You've just received information regarding these SHIELD agents. They've seen to have contained something and are currently taking it to a lab somewhere in the city, the name of which is currently unknown to the public. Yes, Nino exclaimed, holding up his hand to high-five Adrien, who confusedly high-fived him back. Shh, Nino, Chloe hissed, apparently more interested than she was letting on. What? We were right. They definitely found aliens. That's why they're quarantining the trash. So, it's not that exciting. We know aliens exist after what happened with the attack on New York, and all Chloe's words were drowned out by the murmurs that began to break out in the class. A smile spread across Peter's face, but then faltered. If I've seen enough movies, he thought, then someone is definitely going to try and steal whatever they found. But we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. Chapter 15. Peter spent the rest of the day fidgeting quietly as he waited for school to end. Finally, the bell rang. Peter got up from his seat, following the rest of the class as they exited through the door. Peter, dang it, he turned around. Didn't you want to hear about what we were doing yesterday? Alia asked, and Michelle quickened her pace to walk beside her. School's over, you know? We can all go to the library and we'll show you the summary of our findings. Don't worry about it. I have to leave quickly because I'm meeting someone because I need to give them something. And so you can show me tomorrow. Or you guys can go to the library and I'll join you guys later. Or yeah, actually, just, go ahead and I'll join you guys later. Yeah, who are you meeting? Michelle interrupted, raising an eyebrow. Well, I'm not exactly sure if he's going to actually be here in person, since he doesn't always. Peter, Alia mused. Tell us. Okay, I need to talk to Mr. Stark, and I need to give him some ethy, Peter mumbled. We can't hear you, Mr. Stark. Why do I feel embarrassed? Stark? Alia echoed, as in Tony Stark. So you weren't lying about that? Then Michelle asked, furrowing her brows. About what? Last year. The Stark internship and all that. No. I mean, yeah. I wasn't lying. I was. Did you think I was lying? She probably did. Why else would she remember? No. But other people thought you were lying. Are you still telling us that lie? Peter jumped as he heard a loud voice behind him, Flash included. Michelle finished. You know, unless you give us some actual proof, no one is going to believe you. Flash taunted, choosing to speak in English. You know what? Peter responded, turning around. Fine, I'll give you proof. Come and meet him. Peter pulled his phone out of his pocket. What time was he coming? He'll probably be here soon. Oh really? Flash sneered. Is this like your Spider-Man pal? Like how he was gonna show up at Liz's party? Peter flinched. Oh, I'm right, aren't I? Flash pushed Peter aside. He's lying. Don't listen to him. He's probably just making excuses for why he doesn't want to hang out with you guys. Opening his mouth to reply, he saw the looks on his friends' faces darken. They believed him over me? Only Michelle remained unconvinced, her stern expression not changing. She probably knew not to listen to Flash. But there's no point arguing, Peter thought, turning around quietly to walk away. I'll find them some proof later. Oh, look, he's just running away since he can't. Flash hesitated, probably forgetting the word for what he was trying to say. That's proof he's lying. To say that's proof he's lying. He can't even argue anymore. Peter kept walking. He didn't look back. Peter had been waiting outside the school for an hour. He'd been timing it too. When it gets to an hour, I'll call Mr. Stark. He'd thought, after 15 minutes had passed. An hour had passed. Did I imagine calling him? When did I call him? Was it this morning? Or was it yesterday? Did I even call him? Thoughts clouded his mind as he called Tony Stark on his phone. He picked up almost immediately. Hey kid, I'm really sorry. I got stuck in a meeting, and it only just finished. I'm bringing your suit over now. It's okay, Mr. Stark, Peter replied. I understand. It's all right. If you want, I'll drop it off at that hotel you're staying at, so you can head home. Just wait outside there. He sounded slightly distracted. All right, thanks, Mr. Stark. He hung up the phone and heard a voice behind him. He didn't turn up, eh? Peter turned around. He wasn't able to come. He's coming later to Chloe's place, he said defensively, before realizing it was Marinette. Her face was unreadable. It's not good to lie about. What a surprise. Stark didn't turn up, huh? Does he even know you exist? Why was Flash hanging out with them? Peter glared at him in reply. I'm actually heading back to Chloe's place. He was in a meeting, so he was unable to come until now. Oh, so just now, he's gonna fly all the way from America? Flash sneered. No, he said he's in Germany right now for some reason. Peter responded. How convenient. Google it. Peter replied, almost spitting. There's probably some news article saying he was spotted there or something. I'm not lying. Double quotes. At the mention of proof via Google, Marinette snorted and turned her gaze to Elia, who pulled her phone out with a shrug. Why did she get angry about that? He's not lying, Flash. Stark is in Germany, Elia said, passing her phone to Flash, who just snorted in reply. Michelle stood with narrowed eyes while Nino had his brows furrowed thoughtfully. He probably searched it up himself this morning. That's how he knew there would be an article. I can't argue with this. Peter turned away and paid no attention to what else Flash said. It was something about being pathetic. Peter sat outside on the balcony waiting for Mr. Stark. He'd hardly been sitting down for 5 minutes before he heard the Iron Man suit flying towards him. He heard it before he saw it, but Iron Man flew over and landed expertly on the balcony. Hey, Mr. Stark. Hey, kid. The Iron Man suit waved. Thanks for coming out here to bring me a suit, even though you probably didn't want me to bring my suit in the first place, Peter said quickly. I'm not actually here. Iron Man tapped his helmet. Sorry, kid. Oh, Peter probably sounded audibly disappointed. It's all right. I understand. He heard a laugh from the suit and it opened up. Tony Stark walking out with a grin on his face. Just joking, kid. Wanted to see your reaction, but it seems you definitely did want me here. Peter shook his head, unable to stop the grin spreading across his face. And don't worry about it, kid. I can't stop you from being Spider-Man. You are Spider-Man. Tony put the bag he was carrying down on a table and took the suit out. It was familiar and, yet different. What? You want me to say I am Spider-Man? Like how you said I am Iron Man? Peter joked, taking the iron suit out of his own bag and giving it to Mr. Stark. Tony shook his head with a smile and pointed to the new suit. I've made a few changes to the suit. A few? Peter laughed. It seems you've made a completely new one as the colors are. Don't interrupt me. I was talking. He narrowed his eyes jokingly. As I was saying, this suit is not an iron suit, but is more durable than your old fabric suit, and also less easily hacked by teenagers. Peter shrugged with a smile, and Stark shook his head. Anyway, I need to head off now, Tony Stark said, obviously unsure of what to say. I'll see you soon or not. Who knows? Bye, Mr. Stark. Peter waved as Tony picked up the Iron Spider suit and climbed back into his own suit, the eyes in the helmet flashing to life. Peter looked down at the new suit, excitement buzzing through him. He knew exactly where he was going to head. Chapter 16. After Tony Stark had flown away, Peter took a closer look at his new suit. It was definitely different from his iron suit, and even different to his older suit. The blues in his suit had all now been replaced with black, with some added black areas in other sections of the suit. This being the arms and the soles of the feet. Despite being excited and thankful that Mr. Stark had brought him a replacement suit, Peter still felt the anger and frustration he'd been feeling earlier that afternoon. He put on the suit, remembering what he had been itching to do earlier in the day. He wanted to go look at the space trash and find out what happened to it. As he put on the mask, he heard the familiar voice of Karen greeting him. "Hello, Peter." "Hey, Karen, you're back." "Yes, but unfortunately, since I was unable to connect, I do not have any memory of the events happening after the Akuma fight." "Oh, right, because the suit was damaged during the fight." Peter paused. "So you didn't see what happened after then?" "You know, when I saw Ladybug's identity?" "No, Peter. You're saying you saw the identity of Ladybug?" "Oh, yeah. It was kind of accidental, but I won't tell you who it is because I don't think she'd want me to do that." Peter knew Karen, and probably also Tony Stark, could keep a secret. But knowing that Mr. Stark had told the whole world he was Iron Man the first time he spoke to the public, he figured he wouldn't tell them. "That's understandable, Peter. Thanks, Karen." Remembering what he had seen from the news report earlier in the day, Peter headed to the location of where the trash was collected. He knew it wouldn't be there now, but he was hoping there was at least a clue to where it had been taken. As Peter swung and landed on the top of a building, he spotted a figure in the distance, crouched over the edge of a roof. They were certainly there for the same reason that he was. He swung closer to them and landed quietly behind them. Narrowing his eyes, he warily looked closer, careful not to make a sound in case they were hostile. A massive, blue-gray fur was slumped over and a large tail lay on the ground. The added large ears on top of their head made the figure seem animal-like, not unlike a character out of the movie, Zootopia. "Hey, stranger." Peter made sure his voice was friendly. "What are you doing here?" They immediately turned to face him. "What do you want?" "I don't speak French." The female voice was heavily accented with an accent Peter couldn't quite put his finger on. "Whoa there, Easter Bunny." Peter held up his head non-threateningly. "I'm your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Although this isn't really my neighborhood since I actually come from America, but this is a neighborhood and I am Spider-Man, so there you. I'm not a rabbit, you bug." She snarled in reply, pushing him away with a bandaged hand. Or was it a paw? Pale bandages were wrapped around them, similar to how boxers would wrap up their own hands to protect themselves. "I'm a kangaroo." I'm sorry. Peter winced. "I didn't mean to offend you. I was referencing that movie, Rise of the Guardians. There's this character who's the Easter Bunny, and you kind of look like him, and this other character named Jack. His name doesn't really matter though, but I thought I'd let you know calls him Kangaroo, and he hates being called Kangaroo, even though he kind of looks like a kangaroo, and his Australian accent doesn't help, and so I thought I'd reference that movie. I referenced the movie by calling you Easter Bunny instead of Kangaroo." Her only response was narrowing her eyes. "Okay." Peter scratched the back of his neck, feeling uncomfortable. "You're not an Akuma, are you? You're not working with Hawkmoth to steal Ladybug and Chat Noirs? Miraculouses, are you?" Peter took a cautious step back. She narrowed her eyes again. "No, my goal of coming here is not to steal these Miraculouses, if that is what you are asking." Peter relaxed. "Okay, good. What are you doing here then? Being all shady? Hanging around this area?" She twitched an ear. "What are you doing here?" As Peter struggled to form a response, she chuckled and answered his question. "Maybe you can help me out," she said. "I'm on a mission." "A mission?" "Yes. What I need to do is find where they are holding the space trash, and take whatever alien thing they found in it was." "You're going to steal it?" Peter echoed. "No, I need to retrieve it for someone." "You're stealing it. What do you think S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to do with it, huh?" She responded. "They've been unheard from for years, and suddenly, they appear not even in their own country, mind you, and they appear to confiscate something." "Seriously? What do you think S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to do with that thing?" "You know they're going to try and use it to create a weapon, I guess. Besides, everyone knows their track record." "How long were Hydra secretly operating without anyone knowing?" "Yeah, but there's no way to know their motivations." "What about your motivations?" "Huh? I don't even know your name, and yet you are asking me to help you steal something." Peter retorted. "I'm not forcing you to help me. I was offering since you are so interested in what I'm doing here." She narrowed her eyes. "You see, The government doesn't want SHIELD to have whatever that thing is, and so I'm going to retrieve it. Why are they sending you? You don't even speak French. They didn't send one of their own superheroes. Ladybug or Chat Noir? No, they can't admit to intervening themselves. So I've been sent instead. And where are you from exactly then? Is it not obvious? Double quotes. It suddenly dawned on Peter. The kangaroo, the accent, the boomerang by her side that Peter hadn't noticed. You're from Australia. She clicked her fingers. That's right. Your new friend is from the land down under. She seemed to laugh quietly, before narrowing her eyes and grinning. I'm Switcheroo. End of chapter 16. Did you remember what I said last part in the ending? I said I was in a hurry. Why right now? Me and my family are in a holiday. We are in right now in a hotel in the best parties. They have internet. Also, I upload this part in a hotel, hahaha. Also, we are having a good time. Link down to the description if you want to read the rest of the story. I hope you all enjoy. Goodbye.